I exposed my boss's secret during a meeting. My boss had been stealing credit for my work for 2 years. What he didn't know was that I had proof. When I joined the company, I was fresh out of college and eager to make an impression. I worked late, volunteered for every project, and quietly built the systems everyone relied on. At first, my boss seemed supportive. He praised my work in private, saying I had real potential. But in every department meeting, my ideas came out of his mouth. I'd write a full project proposal, and he'd present it like it was his. When the results impressed upper management, the congratulations went straight to him. I told myself it was normal. That's just how the corporate world works. But deep down, it felt wrong. The breaking point came during our quarterly performance review. He told HR that he had developed the new automation system I'd spent 6 months building. I sat across the table, silent, watching him describe my work in detail. He even took credit for the troubleshooting plan I'd created the night before deployment. HR gave him a leadership bonus that day, and I got a polite, "Keep up the good work." That was the moment I decided to stop being naive. I started keeping records. Every idea, every draft, every version of every project I touched, backed up and time-stamped. I saved emails, internal messages, and system logs showing my login history. If he wanted to play politics, I'd play data. For months, I documented everything. He kept stealing credit, and every time he did, I smiled, because now I was building my case. Then, something changed. He started rewriting my reports before submitting them to upper management. When I checked the version history, I saw edits that completely removed my name. Worse, he began falsifying metrics. He'd take screenshots of my code, paste them into slides, and claim they were his new optimization models. I confronted him once, quietly. He laughed. "Relax," he said. "It's teamwork. My name just looks better on presentations." That sentence told me everything I needed to know. The next morning, I set up an automated log system that tracked every edit made in our project folders. It stored usernames, timestamps, and the exact changes line by line. From that point forward, every lie he told became another piece of evidence. A few weeks later, the perfect opportunity appeared. The CEO announced an upcoming department meeting. Every manager and their teams would present their progress. My boss was scheduled to lead the session. That meant he'd have to show his projects live. I checked the agenda and saw my work listed under his name again. That's when the idea hit me. If I tried to report him privately, he'd bury it. He had connections in HR, but if I exposed him publicly, in front of HR, the CEO, and the entire department, he couldn't spin it. The plan had to be flawless. I began gathering my proof into a single clean presentation. Side-by-side slides showing my timestamps, version history, and commits tied directly to my user ID. I double-checked every entry, then triple-checked. Every detail had to survive scrutiny. Over the next few days, my boss grew even bolder. He sent out an email claiming he had finished the quarterly report that I'd written entirely. He copied the CEO. He even scheduled a follow-up meeting to demonstrate his team's new workflow. I couldn't believe it. He was setting himself up perfectly. The night before the big meeting, I stayed late at the office. The lights were dim, the building silent except for the hum of servers. I opened the final version of my evidence folder and tested the presentation on a spare laptop. It worked flawlessly. All I had to do was wait. The next morning, my boss strutted into the office with his usual arrogance. He gave me a smile and said, "You'll want to take notes today. I'm showing the CEO how it's done." I smiled back. "Don't worry," I said. "I'll be paying close attention." He had no idea that his downfall was already written in his own system logs. That afternoon, as the department gathered around the conference table, I sat quietly with my laptop closed. My boss started his presentation with a confident grin. He began talking about his team's innovations and his new automation framework. Everyone nodded along. They always did. But this time, something was different. HR was in the room. So was the CEO. And when my boss opened the slide deck, the first image on the projector made him freeze. He blinked, then looked at me, because it wasn't his presentation anymore. The first slide on the screen wasn't his. It was mine. My boss froze mid-sentence. For a moment, the entire room was silent. Then the CEO frowned. "This isn't your file, is it?" he asked. My boss stammered, pretending to adjust his notes. "Oh, sorry. Must have opened the wrong one." He clicked again, but every slide was the same. My timestamps, my code, my name. HR leaned forward. "Can you explain this?" she asked calmly. The color drained from his face. He tried to laugh it off. "Just a technical mix-up," he said. But I knew the truth. The automated system had updated overnight. His stolen presentation had been overwritten with my archived version, the one carrying full metadata. The CEO turned to me. "You worked on this project too, right?" he asked. I nodded. "Actually," I said, "I built it from scratch, and I can prove it." My boss glared at me, panic flashing across his face. "Don't do this," he whispered, but it was too late. I opened my laptop and mirrored my screen to the projector. In front of everyone, I pulled up the system log. Line after line showed every edit made. Timestamps, usernames, version numbers. My username appeared hundreds of times. His? Just once, the day he copied my report. HR started taking notes. The CEO folded his arms, watching silently. Then I opened the email thread where he'd attached my files under his name. I scrolled slowly so everyone could read the header. From my boss, attachments, my report. The room was completely still. My boss tried one last move, blaming the team. "It was a group effort," he said quickly. "I was just compiling the results." But I already had my final slide waiting, a comparison of two documents, one labeled Final Report by my name, the other labeled Submitted by Boss's name. Identical, down to the last typo. The CEO leaned forward. "So you submitted his work and claimed it as your own?" My boss opened his mouth, but no words came out. That's when HR stepped in. "We'll need to pause this meeting," she said. "We have to discuss potential misconduct." My boss tried to recover, saying the data was confusing. But everyone in the room had already seen enough. The CEO turned to me. "Thank you for bringing this to light," he said. "I'll be in touch before the day ends." As I walked back to my desk, the entire department was whispering. Some smiled quietly. Others looked shocked. My boss stayed behind with HR, his face pale, his hands shaking. By the end of the day, his office was empty. No goodbyes, no explanations, just gone. Later that evening, the CEO called me into his office. He said the company was launching a full internal audit. Every project my boss had claimed credit for would be reviewed. The results were devastating, for him. Over half of the performance reports contained stolen work, emails, code, and files all traced back to other employees. The CEO told me I'd saved the company from potential fraud. Then he handed me a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter of promotion and a pay raise. I was stunned. 2 years of silence, finally rewarded. But that wasn't the best part. A week later, HR confirmed my former boss had been terminated for misconduct. He'd tried to apply at another branch, but the background check caught up fast. Every record of his achievements had been erased. The system logs didn't lie. One afternoon, I received an email from him. The subject line read, "Do you really hate me that much?" I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Instead, I focused on rebuilding the department's trust. I made sure credit always went where it belonged. Transparency became our new policy. People worked harder and respected each other more. A few months later, the CEO stopped by my desk. He smiled and said, That presentation was the best thing that ever happened to this place. I smiled back. Funny, I said. That's what my boss used to say right before taking credit. Now, every time I walk into that same meeting room, I remember the look on his face: shock, fear, realization. It was the moment the power balance finally flipped. Because revenge doesn't always come with shouting or chaos. Sometimes it comes with evidence. Sometimes it happens in silence, projected on a screen for everyone to see. And sometimes, the most satisfying justice of all is just letting the truth speak for itself. Petty or perfect, real story or fake post. Drop your verdict below.